Okay, so welcome everybody and congratulations for showing up and being here live. I'm super excited to start this new series we're doing called Amplify Workshops. And the workshop concept is where I can take what we talk about in the Amplify Success podcast and go deeper and teach you more of the strategies, teach you more of the pieces and components that, that will really help you be able to take action. And I think 2020 is the perfect time to really up the game and start to get some real traction. And so I'm also, this is my 20th year in business. How crazy is that? So I'm going to be doing some things throughout the year in the Amplify workshops to bring forward proven strategies in 20 years of having my own business and coaching and mentoring experts and rising stars like you. And I want to help you do what works and really start eliminating the bright, shiny objects, the distractions, and the things that maybe aren't getting you the results you'd hope for. So give a little shout out. Let us know where you're here. Hi, Chris. I want to be better at utilizing my time and money to best promote my business efficiency. Well, I love that goal. Efficiency is one of my pillars. So we'll definitely be exploring that. If you are new to the Zoom world, you might see a Q&A. No, sorry, not the Q&A, the chat. You can put questions in, but I love if you can do the chat because it keeps it a little interactive. And if you want to look under where it says to all panelists, if you want everybody to see your comment, then you just want to say to panelists and audience, I think it is. So welcome. If you're just joining in, introduce yourself in the chat. Let us know where you're from. And if you have a big goal this year to help improve your revenue, and I'm going to put some slides up and walk you through some steps, and then I'll be back here and there to check in with you and make sure that we are hitting the nail on the head and see what questions you might have coming up, okay? So let's get these started. If you're listening in on Facebook, in our Amplify Your Success group, welcome. But you might be wondering, okay, so Melanie, how come I can't interact with you? How come I can't share slides or I can't ask you questions? You need to register for the workshop. We are sharing this with you in the beginning. I'm not sure we're going to keep it going the whole time. So if you want to get access to the whole session, make sure that you pop over to Amplify Your Success workshops. And let's keep the magic going here. So hopefully I'm sharing. Nope, that's not it. Sorry, I just want to get my slides going for you here. And that's not working. Okay. Come on, PowerPoint, play nice today. You guys ever find that sometimes Zoom just does not want to play with your stuff? So let's see. Let's try this one more time. Okay, there's my PowerPoint. Nope. All right, it's not working. So we're going to wing it. That's what we do, right? We're all professionals here. Christine's here. I have a big goal to double my business this year, which I tripled last year. And I want to hear about how I can best leverage social media to promote my events and get prospects. Okay, great. So Christine, this isn't necessarily going to be a full marketing training today, so I set your expectations well. But what I am going to do is show you how to connect some dots with the revenue you want to produce and the marketing activity, and make sure it's actually planned, because one of the big challenges is I've noticed people get distracted. They don't necessarily connect the dots between, if I want revenue to come in here, here's what you have to do in your marketing efforts. So make sure we circle back to this question during the question section, and I will absolutely tackle this in a greater way. All right, Chris, Christine, thank you. I love hearing your thoughts as you're just joining in. Pop into the chat, say hi, let us know where you're coming in from today. I love that we have a community all over the world, and I want to hear from you. What's your revenue goal? What do you want to make sure you get from today's workshop? And what are the places that things kind of break down for you? Where do you get challenged? Okay. So the more interactive you are, the more I can make sure I really share what works for you. The other thing I would say is, as we're going through the content, do me a favor and let me know where the ahas are. Where did you just learn something? Where was that helpful? And then I can dig into it a little bit more, and we'll basically unpack the pieces that you really struggle with. Hey, Wani, hopefully I'm saying that right. Wanting consistent, predictable 20K months. Woohoo! Love that. And that's possible. Chris saying, I'm a leading LGBT expert. Oh, so grateful for your work in the world. My 2020 goal is adding a keynote. Okay, great. I love this. So let's get into this. I'm going to try one more time to share my PowerPoint here. I think it's playing nice now. And do we have success? Okay, hold on. There we go. All right. Hopefully you guys can all see. If you cannot see the slides, please put a little note in the chat and say, Melanie, we can't see the slides, because you should be able to. So what our theme for today is how to create a revenue rush. Let's just check. Make sure you can see them. Oh, we can see them. Okay, thank you. All right. So the idea behind the revenue rush came from coaching a lot of people who were struggling with predictable cash flow. So they had great offers, but somehow they would have lean months, scary months, and some months were great months. Some months were okay. And as they would hire me to coach them, and at that time they're investing somewhere between $5,000 and $20,000 to work with me, I was finding a common thread of, okay, well, a lot of people are struggling with these same things. Maybe there's an easier way to teach. And that's how my Profit Explosion Toolkit got developed. By the way, when we get later into the year into finding your unique profit amplifier, this is how you find it. What's the problem that people are experiencing? So maybe you're struggling with predictable cash flow. It sounded like a couple people were saying that that was true. They wanted to increase their sales on demand. So one of the things that was happening is they'd realized there was a hole in their revenue, and maybe June was really not shaping up very good. And they wanted to be able to look at what would amplify revenues the quickest. And the third thing is, and this is where it gets really exciting, I can't wait to teach you this part. I started to see how one shift in an entrepreneur's focus, if they refocused away from the thing that wasn't producing revenue and results and moved it over to this area over here, that they could actually produce more revenue, more consistent income from that first sale with a lot less effort. And that's, to me, where the real magic takes off in this process. And I'm excited that you're discovering it today and that you're going to learn the steps to put it into action in your world. So let's look at why maybe you haven't been achieving your revenue goals yet. And I want to really call out the idea that you keep your goals up here. And if this is you, maybe just, let me know this is where you're at, so I know how to fine tune what we're going to talk about today. But you keep the goal up here in your head, and it doesn't ever make it to any kind of planning document. So anybody still in that, or maybe you intend to create a plan, but it's still up in your head because you haven't been able to create some time and space to do that. I know I asked in the Amplify community, who's maybe struggling with, okay, like I know what I want to do, but I have a hard time getting it out of my head and putting it somewhere that I can use. Anybody find themselves there? A third thing that I think happens a lot is people, they don't know what to put on the plan, right? I don't know what to make different. We tried the same thing over and over and over again. Nothing's working. Okay, fair enough. Well, let's start to look at what's really getting in the way. Well, not having a plan. Here's why, and one of the next steps that will be available to you, and if it's okay with you guys, I will talk just a little bit about it towards the middle of the call, because I want to give you resources, because what we're going to talk about today is great information, but I want you to take information and put it into action. That's where results come. So if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a tool that says, all right, here's how we're going to map out the activity that produces real revenue, then it's in your head and it's super easy to fall into. Guess what? Trap number 2, you get distracted. So I was teaching a similar webinar yesterday for a community I'm in, and we talked about distraction, and all the hands started going up and saying, yeah, that's me. I get distracted. I kind of forget which way I'm supposed to go. So does anybody here find they get distracted from the goal, and they maybe get pulled into a bright, shiny idea, or maybe fire drills, right? Which is the third thing. And I want to talk about this for a minute, because if you find yourself here and maybe you think, oh, I'm doing this all wrong, I'm sure other people don't struggle like this. When you consistently pursue, I should say, short-term money, and there's always an urgent, like, oh my God, to get money in the door. Oh my God, to get money in the door. Oh my God, to get money in the door. One of the reasons is you don't have a plan. You don't know where your revenue is supposed to come from. So you're scrambling. And scrambling requires a lot of energy. And that's where exhaustion comes from. That's where the overwhelm comes from. And it's constantly like you're chasing where that next dollar is coming from. Now, sometimes it's because the business model you have isn't really set up right, and there's some opportunity there. But a lot of times, again, I've been coaching and mentoring entrepreneurs for 20 years now. I see all the time that there's this bumping up against, like, I don't really have a game plan. And by the way, I discovered that because I was having that problem. And I've still fell into that problem over the years until I really committed to, and I notice I said the word committed to planning. And the last one I just want to tackle here is the idea that maybe you're lacking the confidence to pull this off. Now, that's a whole different training. That's where my Money DNA program really comes in handy. But if you find that you're lacking confidence, and maybe it's because you don't know what to do, or maybe you are struggling with some mindset demons, you've got a little gremlin running around in your brain going, oh, who are you to do this, right? Or I don't know what I'm doing, so you don't do anything. Not taking action and following through is a common reason we're not experiencing that consistent revenue we want. And consistency is a big part of the puzzle piece of success. So I just want to bring forward this. I would be remiss if I didn't bring to your awareness today the costs. Because I think what happens is we get in these patterns where we do the same things over and over and over again, and we don't realize it could be different. And we also the blind spot is we don't understand the cost of keeping a problem. And so besides the fact that it erodes your confidence, and by the way, did you know there's brain science, there's research that says that you actually, when you pursue the same goal over and over and over again, and let's say your goal was to break 6 figures this year, or maybe it's to double your 6-figure business. And let's say you set that goal over and over and over again, and you haven't achieved it. Sometimes the habit of not achieving the goal is actually causing you to erode the confidence that you can achieve the goal. And then you end up believing the goal is not possible. And then you set your actions accordingly. You ever notice that? So let's flip that. We don't want to reinforce lack and limitation mindset. I don't want you believing this is not possible. I want you to believe it is possible. It's your job to align with the resources like you are here today, with the steps, the proven steps that stop leaving money on the table, stop making you feel overwhelmed with things that aren't working, stop draining your energy, and start producing meaningful results, okay? Saw some questions coming in. I will take a break and start those questions in just a minute, but I keep them coming. Let me know when you have an aha. Let me know when you've got some thoughts coming in. Now, who here, we're newer friends and we haven't got a chance to really know each other. Maybe you don't know much about my background. You don't know why I'm here teaching you this today. I'm just going to give a quick background on who I am and why I became an expert and why I'm called a profit amplifier. So I am a profit amplifier. That means I teach people how to put little efforts in place, little changes in place, little tweaks to strategy that produce massive momentum and results. And I've been in this business for 20 years. Yes, I've ebbed and flowed and had some different focal points over the year, but really I got my start teaching people how to get out of the overwhelm that running a business and growing a business often produces. And I became one of the first trailblazing female coaches who could consistently create a 6-figure business. Now, 20 years ago, a lot of people didn't even know what coaching was. Now it's much more popular. We see a lot more people experiencing that financial success. But in the beginning, that was a real accomplishment. And honestly, I was very proud of myself for doing that because I had to overcome a lot of money challenges and fears and bad systems and not even knowing anything that I was doing to create those kind of results. And what I came to understand is if I wanted life around my business, like if I wanted to enjoy my life outside of work, I had to get very good at systems like I'm going to teach you today so that money could be produced where I didn't have to keep putting effort in to produce it. And now I'm not saying that having a business is easy. I'm not saying you're not going to work. I'm not a huge fan of the put my money on autopilot business models. I think they're few and far between that they actually work. And I think a lot of that industry had that first, like, oh my God, build a business online and it's going to make you thousands, millions of dollars and you never have to work a day. I don't believe in that, but I do believe in having our priorities straight, and having lifestyle outside of my business is part of my values. And it's part of how I design my business. It's how I teach my Amplify Mastermind clients how to design their business. Now, I have been fortunate enough to build my business as a speaker. I got my first big push speaking and teaching people from stage how to do things like we're going to do today. And so that kind of got the media excited over the years. And I've been featured, my tips and my strategies, especially around getting out of overwhelm. It was kind of funny. One day, my cousin, she, sent me an email. She goes, "Did I really just see you in Parenting Magazine?" So those are kind of the fun moments, right? When you really know that your message is getting out there in a bigger way, you're amplifying your reach, you're touching people's lives that maybe you don't even realize. And another way to do that, and maybe many of you already connect with me this way, is I have my Amplify Your Success podcast. And it's been trending in over 25 countries. We've had some amazing guests. We're going to do some really fun things with this year. If you're not listening yet, make sure you go to amplifyyoursuccesspodcast.com, start subscribing. We're going to do a series this year on how she or he built their high 6- and 7-figure businesses. So why am I telling you all this? I'm not really much of a bragger. If you know me at all, you know I don't really put that out there in the world. But what I do want you to know is I've had a lot of experience. I've coached probably close to 8,000 business owners, maybe more over the years. And the one thing I know for sure is there's a moment for each of us that there's a game changer, where we learn a strategy, a technique, we get our mind plugged in, we are committed. Success is the only option. And we step in and start being the person who generates consistent, predictable cash flow that allows us to enjoy the life and the impact. Because look, that income is fueling and giving us money to produce results for our clients, right? Because for many of us, it's all about the impact, and that's certainly me. So what was the game changer for me? So this is a bigger story than we have time to, but I will unpack several game changers over the Amplify Your Success workshop series this year. But I got to tell you, one of the most pivotal ones was really understanding my Unique Profit Amplifier. Now, my Unique Profit Amplifier is part of a bigger strategy. And I didn't start this way. I wish I knew this in the first couple of years of my business. I would have made some really different decisions. I would have organized my strategies very differently. I fell into this by finding what worked through a series of hiring really great coaches and trying a lot of things that didn't work. Now, who's tired of trying things that don't work? I know we all want to try and minimize the time and money investment in marketing and growth strategies that are not working. So am I alone there? Anyone else? Like, I'd really like to be able to do more of what does work. And one of the things about the way I coach and mentor in my Amplify Mastermind is I don't believe in cookie cutters, but I do believe in formulas. So the formula that is proven for these now probably 18 years that I've been teaching this is find your unique profit amplifier, combine it with compelling messaging that just like, it's like a magnet that pulls in your best clients, your most aligned clients who can't wait to solve the problem that you're an expert in, and then put it on an influence platform. So if you went through my Own Your Bold Influence Challenge earlier this year, or actually, I guess it was last year, it's already 2020 now, then you know the authority boosting strategies to raise your visibility are a major component of what we have to have in place in order to be successful in business these days. So when we take what I call the UPA, your Unique Profit Amplifier, which I will break down in a minute for you, and we use really compelling messaging, and we put it on an influence platform so your ideal clients can see you. Because guess what? This is a writer downer. If they can't see you, they can't hire you. So you have to figure out how to raise your visibility strategies, and influence platforms are one of the ways to do that. And this is how you bring your profile up and people can hire you. So my story, and I've done this several times, like I've rebooted my business over the years 3 times now, which, by the way, if you're starting over, it is possible. But what I noticed I did the first time by accident and the second 2 times intentionally is you have to understand what people want from you and solve a problem that they're willing to invest money to solve. And so one of my strategies has always been find the place where I can be the one people listen to, the one people want to come to for advice, rather than one of the many in the room. And I'll give you a perfect example. This was a major aha moment for me. And that was, I was in the room networking, going to workshops, one of the attendees, and guess what? I was a fly on the wall, right? Like I was one of the many who are all in the same position, wanting to learn. And I started to notice that when people stood in front of the room and they did a training or they did a workshop or they were the keynote or they were the person who was sharing their wisdom and advice, and they really nailed that UPA, and they had a strategy to like invite people in that was compelling, those were the people that everybody wanted to work with. So my little brain went, oh, if I want to really bring up consistent revenue, I've got to know what my UPA is. I have to have compelling messaging, and I've got to be on a platform where people see me as the expert. And that's when everything flipped from me struggling to get $1,000 off the table or in the bank every month and actually producing consistent, predictable revenue. But you might be wondering, okay, Melanie, I get that. I know I need all this, but where's the consistent revenue come from? I had to have clarity on how to wrap my business, wrap my focus and my revenue producing activity around my UPA. Now, this is not a deep dive into finding your unique profit amplifier today. I will make sure you know how to do this. I will be happy to answer questions. But what I want to do is really spend the most time on a revenue rush, like really creating that consistent, predictable income. But I want to explain it enough that you understand where yours is, because you might already have it and maybe it's dormant, which is, by the way, what I find most people have is a dormant unique profit amplifier. It's already there, but you're not spending enough time and energy on it, right? So that's what we want to find today. Now, if you're listening in on Facebook in our Amplify Your Success community and you want to interact and share comments and be able to participate, this is your last chance to join in. Make sure you look for the link at amplifyyoursuccessworkshop.com and pop on in, and we're going to do some interacting in a little bit. And I want to make this really meaningful and valuable to you. So I want to hear your questions, but I won't be hearing them if they're on Facebook right now. All right, so unique profit amplifier, what is it? Your unique profit amplifier is a superpower that you have. It's an offer that when you do it, and it's like where your magic comes in. It's like, it's easy for you, like you could do it in your sleep. You're really great at it, and people are willing to invest money to get this thing you do. And it solves your ideal client's most painful problem, or it moves them to one of their ideal situations in life. So it either gets them what they want, or it gets them out of what they don't want, or a combination of both, right? And the big thing, and this is where the profit amplifier really has the magic, is it makes significant money and leads to other sales. Now, I want to make sure you really heard this. It's not just, okay, I'm getting $10,000 every time I do it. It actually wins over a prospect and makes them want to continue to use your programs, your products, your services. Okay. And there's a lot of ways to do this. There's no one, UPA model. It's finding the magic in you. And it's why I think a lot of people end up hiring coaches. And I definitely do a lot of this work in my supercharge sessions, is kind of fine tuning the UPA and really looking at, well, what is it you do so effortlessly is oftentimes in your blind spot. You do it so effortlessly. You're like, oh, like, doesn't everybody know how to do this? Or it's like this is so easy. Like, should I really be making this kind of money? Yes, you should. I was speaking with a friend of mine, Mitch Russo. Maybe you caught him on the Amplify Success podcast not too long ago. And he was telling me, he's like, his UPA is, he calls it stupid money. It's so easy. It's so effortless. And he charges an enormous amount of money. And then those people become certification clients and produce even more revenue for him. I also discovered this, and I see some questions or some comments coming in. So I'm going to take a pause after I talk about this and open that up. I discovered the power of the UPA with my client, Diane Gardner. So Diane's this amazing accountant. She's got a great business. She originally started working with me in my mastermind, asking me to help her flip her success model. So instead of, all right, Melanie, like she was working like over 100 hours a week. It was ridiculous. Maybe, sometimes she's getting into the 80s, but still that's like double what most people want to work. And her revenue had kind of plateaued around the early 200,000. She knew she had a lot more in her. Sometimes they were getting 300,000, 400,000. And it was a lot of work to produce that revenue. Does that sound familiar to anybody? So I took her through this process that I'm going to show you in a minute, where we map out her revenue rush roadmap, and discovered that she was spending an enormous amount of time on an offering that a previous mentor had suggested, like, hey, I think you should do this leveraged offering. But she was not spending enough time on her best revenue producing offer. And so her revenue was upside down. You're supposed to spend that extra time and energy moving traffic, moving people into your UPA so that it can do the work for you and sell people into your other programs, sell people into your other consistent revenue strategies. This was a major light bulb moment. All of a sudden, kind of the Red Sea parted, the light bulbs went off, and she was like, oh my gosh, I totally see how to get my work week under 80 hours, like getting closer to the 40 hours she wanted, and not just tap out around 200, 300, 400,000 a year, but get to 7 figures a year. The light bulb moment produced massive shift in her focus. So she refocused on making her UPA, which was somewhere between 2,500 and 10,000. She had a couple versions of it. And she realized, like, she only had to work a couple hours, maybe 3 hours, to produce that revenue. And a lot of it she could have her team prepare. But what it did, and this is, again, I really want to bring this point home, it produced consistent, predictable revenue from that initial sale. Those people were becoming bookkeeping and accounting clients. Okay. So she's basically turning those clients into her best ongoing retainer clients. Now that's her model. That's what worked with Diane. I want to help you find your model of this, right? So let me just say, this is where your UPA is going to become your hidden gold. And then I'm going to open up and see what your thoughts are and some comments. It leads to continuity income. So continuity income basically means you sell something once and it produces revenue. So software, SaaS models, membership programs, sometimes associations. These are continuity models where you take a prospect and you sell them on one thing and then they pay you every month, okay? It's easy to sell because it solves one of your best clients' most costly programs. This is a key thing. A lot of my clients, when they initially start to work with me, they have this big aha moment that what they're trying to sell isn't an easy sell, because it's not solving a problem, or at least the way they're messaging it and the way they're positioning it is not solving an important problem. It's just nice. And guess what? People aren't investing big dollars to get something nice. They might, especially when they start looking for someone who does what you do. But if you want to really bring the revenue up, you've got to sell what they have to solve. Key point there. It's highly profitable. So it's low effort. Keep this in mind. It is a lower effort Okay, and sometimes it is more effort, but the ideal is that it's high revenue and it keeps paying off. And then the last piece, and I want to keep bringing this point home, because most of the people that come into the Amplifier community, you've got an expertise, you've got an authority, maybe you're already building influence and leadership in your work, but a lot of people are really emerging in this space. And whatever your UPA is, it can actually become the very thing that positions you as the authority, as the go-to expert, as the only logical choice to your community and to your ideal clients. So that's why I wanted you to really hone in and start to discover what your UPA is. All right, let me just stop the slides for 1 second. I'm almost nervous to do that. Okay, so Sherry was saying, hi, Sherry, like, I don't even want to think about goals anymore. I'm really like, let's dig into that later. Systems are what I need. I'm finding myself very scattered. Okay, good. This is going to be a simple system. This is where I'm stuck, finding my UPA. So Wani, I would encourage you to, like really like, okay, I'm going to share a little technique in the questions. Remind me later. Okay, so keep them coming in. I want to keep hearing your comments. Let's keep hearing the thoughts. Tell me where you're having aha moments, okay? And for those of you in Facebook, let's see. Yeah, I think we're just going to have to let it run. We're not going to be stopping it right now, but that's okay. If you do want to interact, make sure, oh, yep. Okay. So Facebook friends, it's been really great connecting with you. If you want to catch the rest of this, go to amplifyyoursuccessworkshop.com. You can join us live and we can make the replay available if you missed this later. Okay.